Folks, welcome back to So Bad It's Good, presented by Betches Media. It is Saturday, which means it's my favorite day of the week because I get to talk about my favorite show on television right now, The Traitors, of course, and I get to talk about it with my co-host, but we also have a special surprise for you today. Not only do we have Carsten Bergie Bergersen, who is just turning out to be one of the best hosts we've ever had, but we also have the love of his life, somebody that you might know already from Love Island USA Season 5. The one, the only, Taylor Nicole Smith is joining us. Welcome, you guys.
Thank you. That was such a good intro.
Well, listen,
Ryan, you
what's that?
always have the best intros. Like I watch you like interview other cast people, and they're always shocked to hear your introduction.
That's as good as it gets. I always tell people, but I wanna like just first off say you're obviously with Bergie right now. This is a Valentine's kind of celebration episode because we just had Valentine's Day yesterday. You did fall in love on Love Island USA, so it proves that people can find romance and love on these shows. What did you guys do for Valentine's Day?
Ooh, okay,
so the night before, he planned a special, I guess it was like called a quartet. Is it quartet?
Quartet. It's 4 instruments. I think it's a cello, a violin, and then there's 2 other instruments, and it was like a candlelight thing. So we went to that. That was pretty good.
You hired a quartet?
No. They were doing their own show.
He bought tickets to a production that was put on at like an event. But that's where we went. I don't know why he said it was pretty good because he was saying it was shit the whole time. So. I don't know why he was saying it was pretty
Wow,
good.
you're being a traitor right now, Bergie. Wow.
No, it was a very adorable experience. It was super romantic. We had a candlelit like violinist performance, and we got like front row seats. They were offbeat for pretty much the whole experience, but you know, we were
wait. So wait, are you kind of saying, Taylor, that this was very Tom Sandoval-esque in terms of music performance?
Oh my god, why was he so good at that? If anyone who was going to be good at that, it would have been Tom.
Oh my God. Well, I also want to make sure you guys follow Taylor on Instagram. She is very close to 95,000, 94.9. And if you are looking for fast fashion inspo, I am, but I think she mainly helps the ladies. I would say go. It's an automatic follow for me. And I would love just to do a whole hour about your relationship, but we unfortunately have to talk about this show. But I do want to just quickly mention that Taylor, I think, makes Bergie at this point watch Summer House, and we had the premiere of Summer House. So briefly, before we jump in, because I kind of think Summer House is turning into a little bit of the Traitors as well, because Shereé, hot off the Traitors, is now in Summer House, and she is coming in guns blazing for Wes Wilson. What are your thoughts, Taylor, so far on this season?
I applaud her because, first of all, Wes hopped out the car with those rips in his jeans, and it immediately was an ick for me. I was like, yeah, no, there's no reason why this man needs to be having rips in his jeans. His face just annoys me all the time because he fucks Shereé up, and like, no one fucks with my girl like that. Like, I think that she was so classy when she literally just like pushed him aside and went to go hug Jesse. Like, that move to me, I was like, yeah, that's literally giving like, fuck you.
Yeah, I call it a pity pat. She pity patted him and stepped aside. And I love that energy from Shereé. And I truly do believe that that was inspired from her time on The Traitors this season. And the other thing I noticed about Shereé in these past couple of episodes of The Traitors and into Summer House, she's got a bit of a potty mouth. My grandma said a potty mouth, and she loves to use an F word. She loves to use and we can curse here, but Shereé even, I was like, damn, this is like, you are cursing every single word, which is wild. But West, I totally agree with you. I think he's getting too lost in the sauce. He's too much of that kind of male influencer type that it's icky, right?
It is icky, and I feel like when I first watched last season, when he came on, I was very for Wes.
Me too.
I feel like that's what the fuck boys do. They have this mind fuck over you, and then they they pull some shit of taking you to go meet their family and being like, nah, I'm actually not interested.
Well, or Taylor, I don't know if you sometimes these D-bags will take you to a quartet with candles. You ever get that? Well, wait. I did real quick. Taylor, is that also kind of shocking about Bergie? And I only know him from doing these, but I feel like, is it kind of weird to be with what seems to be like kind of a good guy, kind of seems more of an innocent, positive force? I could be completely wrong. He could be a monster anytime after these interviews, but it's very different than somebody like Wes, who you can tell loves the attention, loves like all sorts of different women and can't commit.
Yeah, it seems like, a person like Wes, his intentions are not pure, which I really do feel like is a mismatch for Sierra because she does seem so genuine. And she is like, I've watched Summer House and I've like watched her experience with dating life. Don't even get me started on her at Austin. That's a whole shit show. And I know, I can't even. But with Wes, his intentions, I felt like he came on the show and he kind of manipulated her, like Sierra, in a way to like making her like fall in love with him when his intentions weren't pure and weren't genuine, when I really just think he wanted the clout.
I also just kind of think, I mean, this sounds a little kind of maybe gross, but I think he just kind of wanted to sleep with her. Here is like a beautiful woman that he wanted to add a notch on his belt. And I don't know if that was just subconscious or conscious, but I think he wanted that. He got that. And then it was like, there's so many other fish in the sea. I'm really popular right now. I want to like see as, many people as I can. And I think it's going to backfire on him this season, as we're already seeing. What do you think about, do you watch Southern Charm? What do you think about Paige and Craig?
Oh yeah, and I'm on Southern Charm right now, and I can just see, because I feel like we won't start to see Paige and Craig's relationship dwindle in Southern Charm, but I'm not all caught up. But I know in this season of Summer House, we'll definitely see like where Paige and Craig's relationship, because when they did the recap, Paige was crying and like the bed with Sierra being like, we have to break up, but it just seems like, there are two people that are just not on the right paths in life.
Which is okay.
Definitely okay. But I feel like, when you get to that point where you're wanting to settle down and you're wanting to have children and kind of like be that fatherly figure, like you need to be on the same page as that other significant other. And I think that's where we start to see, like in Southern Charm, especially, them getting that heated conversation when she's just like,
with the goats, yeah. Well, I mean, also in this episode of Summer House, I just kept like, I was recapping it and I was like, come on, there are signs already, because she's talking about, I'm not ready for a baby. Lindsay's pregnant. I am so happy to be childless. So the signs are there, and it doesn't mean he's, Craig's this ultimate douchebag, even though at the very end of this episode, there's a very small clip of her saying, oh, he wants to make me be out the villain. I caught him, talking to two
bitches.
Yeah, two bitches. And I thought, wow,
who was he texting?
Well, and that's what we really don't know. I think he did an interview with Tamron Hall that's going to that's going to release on Monday. So we'll probably find out.
I did see that.
Yeah, we'll find out more on Monday, but it's already, I like Summer House because I just like, there's so many just little scenes of just walking into bedrooms. Like, it's just like, it's very different than other shows. Finally though, about you guys, you were on a reality show yourself, and Taylor, what goes into like, I've talked to Bergie about this, but why go on a reality show in the first place? And then how serious can you really be about, I mean, you guys are still together. I don't know how many years later this has been now, but you're together, but you are the uncommon trend on these shows. Most people don't actually find real love or even deep like on these shows. What made you go on to Love Island in the first place?
Oh, to be honest, I was hungover one night and I applied. And I was like, you know what? I'm so tired of being alone. And I was like, let me fill out this 70-question application that took me hours. But honestly, I wasn't like, oh, I'm going to apply for Love Island. I'm going to find the love of my life. I feel like when you hear the saying, like, it comes when you least expect it, because I was so emotionally and mentally drained of like my dating life that I didn't expect anything out of Love Island. I was going more so to have fun and just kind of for the experience in itself.
Wear swimsuits.
Yeah, wear swimsuits, you know, make a fool
So
of
then
myself.
then you guys get that, like, if you, guys, I recommend you can follow their season on Peacock or rewatch it or watch it for the first time. But you guys didn't really kind of get together until the very end of that. And then what I always find interesting is Bergie has said that story of he almost immediately went on the Traitors after that. And even in the premiere of Summer House, Shereé tells us, I only get 30 minutes of phone time a week. Bergie's let us know those were like, strictly hovered over and listened to in terms of conversation. You don't have access to your phone. We've heard from Bergie's perspective about being in a newer relationship and then all of a sudden leaving. What was that like on your end of like, this dude, you probably didn't really know what the Traitors like kind of entailed. You're all of a sudden dating this dude that says, I'm trapped away in a castle, I can't really talk, which kind of sounds like a perfect excuse for a man. And what was your take on this whole scenario for him?
Yeah, to be honest, when he came back to the hotel when we were in Fiji and he was like, I leave for Scotland in 2 weeks. I'm like, we just got together. What do you mean? But when we were out there, I felt like that was definitely a peaking point for our relationship, especially knowing how to navigate this new reality of life and like this new perspective of being like coming from reality TV and jumping back into normal life. And for me, I was definitely supportive of him going to the Traitors. I had no idea like what life was going to be like, obviously post Villa, but him getting that gig after, I felt like it was hard too, because, well, one, we're obviously having to maintain a long distance relationship. And not only that, you're going to be across the country, away from me, but it was more so, I felt like building that trust with each other too, which kind of helped, I felt like, get the wheels going in our relationship.
Well, I mean, it's I'm seeing you underneath Bergie's Spider-Man poster, so it seems like everything worked out.
I love it.
And this is before Scotland, we watched Into the Spider-Verse for the first time. Like, she never saw it. And we were in a hotel room in like Bloomington, Minnesota. I was like, you've never seen Into the Spider-Verse? And like that was like one of the first movies we watched outside of the villa. Now that I'm actually thinking about it too.
Taylor, did you pretend like you liked that movie, or did you actually like it?
Oh no, I love the movie.
Okay, good. Okay, so one last thing. I want to remind people that Bergie is doing the Cruise of Deception that sets sail in April. I also want to say, just as important as to follow Taylor on Instagram, you have to understand, you guys listening, is that social media, for better or worse, like just really helps everything that we do. Like liking my stupid memes. Like, it helps. Liking any post they do, it helps. Bergie was advertising a new show on Fox called Extraction. We want to interact and like those posts because it really helps, because these things are good for us. And, not only does it advertise the shows or the brands that they work with, but also it just helps them overall. So I always say, put as much support as you can around people that you like. And I just wanted to throw that out there really quickly. Now.
Oh, hold up. I just want to say on top of that, I just want to thank everybody, whoever orders a cameo for me, whoever's going on the Cruise of Deception, whether you just like a post, you guys are all helping me get through PT school with as little student loan debt as possible. Like, I'm still pulling out student loans here and there, but like, you guys are all helping me get through PT school. So I just want to give you a shout out to all of you guys that like just support me, whatever you guys are doing. So I just wanted to give a shout out to all of you guys too.
Well, I want to thank you guys for being here. So it's just a love fest right now with everybody. Now let's get to something that's not a love fest. And I wanted to get your take on this before we dive into the episode. And this is just a theory. I have no proof of this. After this week's episode, I truly think Tom Sandoval is going to win this, or he is going to be in the top 3. And let me tell you guys why and see if you agree with me. Obviously, he is failing upwards at this point. He does have some critical thinking, even though it's really messy. He obviously provides great humor, even though he is not trying to. That's just Tom. But my main reason is I've noticed he is the only one not doing press for the Traitors. And my theory is that he is not doing press, not because he doesn't want to do press. It's because NBC Universal does not trust him to do press because they know he has a big mouth and he would let something slide. Can I get your thoughts on my theory?
Well, I'm not going to say you're wrong, because if you asked me during my season and you asked me which faithful was going to make it to the end, I probably would have told you MJ by like episode 3 on my season. Like, there's just, and we talked about this so like a while ago. In one of our recaps, like we were talking about the prize money, I told you sometimes the best faithful are the ones that get eliminated first, and the worst faithful are the ones standing around the fire pit at the very end. So I definitely could see it happening where there's a possibility Tom Sandoval wins the Traitors with 2 or 3 other people.
I hope he doesn't, though.
I hope. Wait, listen. I want to make this clear. This is not about what I hope, because I want Carolyn to win. That is my personal thing. But I am getting nervous, and because I also pay attention to who's doing interviews out there. And I notice he is the only one that is not appearing at any of these Traitors events that I'm seeing. So that's just a little bit about what I do, noticing who's available for interviews and things like that. And I just think there has to be a reason, because it's either that or he really hates how he's being portrayed and he's mad at production. But I don't think that's true, because we are now getting to a point that people are starting to not root for him, but accept him, and also just realize that he's unintentionally hilarious. And I know Bergie didn't watch Vanderpump Rules, but Taylor, did you?
Yes, I watched Vanderpump Rules, and I just feel like I love that you can just make a meme out of Tom Sandoval.
By the way, he is like my muse. He's the only one.
It's so easy though to make a meme out of himself for the stupidest shit that he does. Like you said, he's unintentionally just hilarious. Like his eye movements, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
Yes.
Or we'll get into it, but when he steps back and he's like, and it's like just Ellen there, like he's acting like it's like the biggest thing in the world.
Well, okay, so Taylor, this is for you. And sorry, Bergie, I want to give Taylor some attention. Is that okay? This is what I was thinking, Taylor. Is that what I love about this show? Like, I have a huge blind spot in terms of Big Brother, so I didn't know Danielle and Brittany going into this. That's a blind spot for me because I want to watch that show. It's just there's so much, so many other shows. So I'm learning about them, but I also realized from people writing me and like commenting that some people don't watch Vanderpump Rules or Bravo, and they have no idea who Tom Sandoval was up to this point. Mm-hmm. So I think that's interesting. So they're like, this dude's great, not realizing that he was involved in full-blown Scandoval. How would you describe, say, if like, hey, Taylor, I don't know Tom Sandoval. Who is he?
I would say exactly, who is he? Like he's so irrelevant, and then also too, I just feel like I feel like he's a scam. Like he literally is a scam. Like anything he says or does, he's just a manipulator. And the way like he treated Ariana and all of that when Scandoval went past or whatever, like the whole Raquel thing, I was like, dude, you're actually an idiot.
Yeah, so you guys, and it is funny, we are getting new listeners to the podcast version of this that have never listened to any of my Vanderpump Rules recaps or any of that. And I had one letter this week of like, I don't understand why you do him with a lisp. And I'm like, well, I've done him with a lisp for 5 years since I've started this show. Because that's not how he sounds, but if you listen to his intonation, he sometimes like will lightly brush his tongue against his teeth. So it's partly a joke because people are like, what are you doing there? I'm like, I've been doing it for 5 years. It's nothing personal. It's just how I imitate Tom, even when I love Tom. But Tom, to me, is somebody that commits fully, but is 95% of the time wrong. He loves theatricality. He thinks of himself as a professional musician, which that's why this challenge was so flippin' funny. But overall, he made a giant mistake that was very painful for Ariana and a lot of his friends and the audience that we followed him for like 10 or 11 seasons. So he came in with like just kind of already a scarlet letter on his chest. So it's been interesting to see him not dig himself out of a hole, but already even everybody at that table makes fun of Tom, or they have strong opinions of Tom already.
And I think too, with him, like with coming out of Scandoval too, like you can tell like his demeanor, he definitely treads lightly. Like he definitely knows not to say something or like not to like make a big deal out of things because he knows he's gonna get made fun of, but like at the end of the day they still all make fun of him.
Well, Taylor, I mean, he does that, but at the same time he can't help his worst instincts, because at the round table he's like, dude, women are more statistically willing to cheat, dude. And he's like, no, I meant traitor, to be a traitor, dude, that's what I mean. It was so funny. It was such a Freudian slip that it was horrifying and hysterical at the same point.
It was so horrific to watch too. I'm like, did you really just say that women are more statistically like able to cheat right now?
It's so
like,
great.
Look in the fucking mirror.
Okay, so you guys, this episode is episode 308, third season, 8 episodes. It's entitled A Bitch Is Lying. On Peacock, we can actually name things with like potential curse words. The freedom to hear these people curse on streaming services is very exciting because you don't get that on network television. Okay, so in terms of gameplay and where we're at, how do you think we're doing, and what did you think of this overall episode?
Ooh, well, like I said last week, I feel like we're getting into like a fresh new start. Boston Rob was kind of controlling the whole game on who to murder because that person was coming after him. Mm-hmm. And now it's like a fresh new start. And I agree with Danielle and Carolyn's gameplay of getting rid of Trishelle because she was never going to get banished. That was 100% a correct read. And I thought Carolyn, in this episode, like, made the most sense. Like, also Danielle was making sense with they need to recruit a traitor, but like Carolyn was also saying like we can't recruit Brittany because you two will just come after me. So I get where Carolyn's coming from and Danielle's coming from because they're both trying to defend themselves, but they both have a gun pointed at the other person.
And I think too with, Carolyn's trust this whole season with how it's been traitors against traitors, like all pretty much holding guns at each other's heads.
Yeah.
Is Carolyn, and as she should, she has the right to, she doesn't trust Danielle, which honestly, I wouldn't trust the bitch either.
Me either.
No, I wouldn't trust her either. Like, she literally was throwing Carolyn's name under the bus in the car, and then you're going to say, like, I'm going to take you to the end. I promise you. We're going to split the money. Bitch, bye. No, you're not. You're going to take the money for yourself.
Also, any casting producer or casting director for any show, Taylor could be available. So if you're
by the way, I'm really, I mean, this is, you're really showing you got a lot of fight. So this is very, you might have gone farther than Shereé this episode, which, spoiler alerts, Shereé is the one that gets banished at the end.
Yes. I know, and I'd be there for the cute outfits in the castle. Like, sign me up.
Wait, I will say this. I was listening to Dorinda talk on Jeff Lewis Live this week about, being disappointed that she was obviously killed off first, but also she was half disappointed just because she had so many good outfits. And I'm like, we got to get these outfits out of the way. We got to be there to play the game. You can look cute, sure, but let you keep your eye on the prize of catching traitors, Dorinda. No, that's my personal opinion.
That's facts. Like, the outfit will still slay.
So I think you're completely right about what you both said, but the thing that's interesting was that this, to me, and I said this last week, I even mean it more this week, it has turned into a full-blown comedy show. And I think since Boston Rob left, the gameplay took a back seat this episode just because they were so into, we got to revisit the coffin theory. And I think Dylan is the only person at the very end with his talking head saying, I feel bad about that vote now. We should have been looking deeper. And they really chose not to look deeper this episode. And I think that is, whether you love Boston Rob or hate Boston Rob, what was so exciting about Boston Rob was every week he was digging himself out of this hole that he was put in, not by his choice. So the gameplay, to me, was way more stellar. And this week, the gameplay took a back seat, but it was still a really entertaining episode.
Honestly, I was going to say this episode to me is like an 8 out of 10. Like, it's better than the past 3 or 4 weeks of episodes we've had, just because it was fun to see actual conversations being had in the castle. We got a new person in the castle as well, Sam Ashgari. I've never seen this guy. He got a live this week. I was like,
yeah. Did you guys realize this guy Sam? I think he's Britney Spears' ex-husband. He's there. Yeah. I didn't know that.
Where did he come from? He just appeared for breakfast one morning and he just had all this strategy talk. I was like, where the hell has Sam Ashgari been? Like, I do think we need more. We need 1.5-hour Traitor episodes, because I don't like it when we get like all the way to the end of the season and there's the potential Sam Ashgari could be like in the final 5, and I've never seen him until episode 8. Like this, like I think we need longer episodes because I want to see everybody's kind of strategy going on in this house. It would have been fine if Sam Ashgari was like murdered in episode 2. I really don't like not seeing him until this late in the game.
Yeah,
because he was spot on. Like, I liked his strategy too. Kind of.
It was. Well, I mean, listen, you could see that the wheels were in motion, and he was actually talking about an active plan instead of taking a back seat. My greatest regret of watching this episode is that if I ever do talk to Carolyn, I would love to ask her, there could have been more of a push to get Danielle. And I know I've always wanted to get Danielle out, but I just thought it's right there. And Dylan was on to Danielle by the end of this episode, in a sense. And Carolyn is on that precipice. If we could have gotten Danielle out, given them another traitor, and then she could have recruited from that point. Because we leave this with Alan giving them an option to recruit or just murder tonight. And like you said earlier, Taylor, Carolyn does not trust Danielle, nor should she. And so for her, Danielle, to say, let's bring Brittany in, screw that.
No, that literally made no sense. I was like, you guys are literally doing ring around the Rosie in the castle, and you want to bring in her as a traitor? Like, Carolyn was correct, being like, next thing you know, I'm going to be dead.
Exactly, because that's what they would do. She's already proven to be a liar. Danielle has lied about everything. So why would Carolyn, and this is why I love Carolyn, she knows it. She knows it. If she gives that inch and lets Brittany, by the way, and if that happens, we don't know. If Brittany does end up being recruited, I truly feel that's the end of Carolyn's game.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Agreed.
But also, I do think, I loved how Sierra was spot on. Maybe we should just go through the whole episode.
Yeah. Okay, here we go.
Episode.
Look at Bergie being a professional host over here. Okay,
we can gloss over everything, and we'll be
Okay, so
for hours.
Last week, Boston Rob is out. The traitors are a mess. They have to kill face to face. Who is it going to be? There's 6 people that are going to have to be up for murdering, but Carolyn is one of those 6, and we know she's not going to be murdered. And the players all have to stand at the altar, and they're like, you've got to wait your fate. If I come to meet you, you're safe. But if you see the traitors, you'll meet your final breath. And they all turn around, and I still will not understand why Tom looked so surprised. Bergie, from you doing this, is this something that you think potentially was directed? Like, Tom, can we get a look of surprise from you? Because even if he saw Alan, it still looked like way too much of a surprise for Tom.
I do think he maybe got some direction. Like, when you turn around, act surprised. He might have got that direction. Also, knowing Tom, he might have just turned around and was like, wow, I didn't get killed. I did so good in this game. I got rid of Boston Rob. I am like the best faithful here. How are they not killing me right now? He might have that mindset as well, where he's just completely shocked that the traitors don't want to kill him.
Okay, so then we wake up and it's the next day at the castle. Now, this is something that either of you will not be able to tell me, but I will say people have slipped before. I'm looking at you, Mercedes Javid. There is always so much speculation if you sleep in the castle or not. And I know you can't tell me, but you guys sleep in the castle. Am I right, Bergie?
Yeah, with the teddy bear.
Yes, you sleep in the castle. Okay, we've got that out of the way. So Brittany and Danielle are the first people that come into the room. And Danielle, obviously a traitor. And Brittany's like, do you have any ideas of who it would make sense to kill? Danielle in a talking head says, I'm giddy. Nothing personal, just business things. The faithfuls are going to be like, wow, when they find out who it is. And Brittany says, Boston Rob calling me a gamer is ironic. I don't know why Brittany was so offended by Boston Rob, because I feel like Boston. She is a gamer. Why is that so ironic?
You literally come from a game show. You will be you're a gamer.
But and also he's a gamer, so of course he would call her a gamer. Yeah. But so Brittany says, we have been working together. I'm fairly Brittany says, we've been working together, and I'm fairly sure Danielle is a faithful. And this is what upset me. So last week, me and Bergie speculated, Taylor, that we think that hopefully Brittany would be on to Danielle, but she says in the talking head, she thinks Danielle is a faithful.
A great faithful, yeah.
Yeah, like how... And like this is the thing that confuses me too, because everyone's doing their post interviews, and I'm like, is she like backstepping right now to make herself sound smarter than what she was actually thinking in the castle at that moment? Like, I could post my journal entries and be like, yeah, I thought Dan, Phaedra. No, I thought Phaedra potentially, but I was never like with Peter. I was like, I need to get rid of Sandra. Sandra's definitely a traitor. Like, I was off, and I will admit to being off 100%. And I hate when people like, you know, the show's showing one thing, and then you're talking about your post interviews or like episode interviews saying another thing.
Yeah.
Than what it's showing on the show. But it could be editing. I really hope Danielle gets out.
I was bummed to hear Brittany say that. But next, we have Sam Ashgari walk in, Sierra and Lord Ivar come in. Sierra says, Boston Rob, man, he put me in a coffin with my new YSL boots. Taylor, for you, would that be offensive since you're a fashionista? Is that a no-no to put YSL boots in a coffin?
I literally told him, I said, that checks out, because I would have been pissed too.
Sam Ashgari, this is when we realize he actually has a brain, or somewhat of a brain. He says, you know, they've played a good game, but the traitors aren't as smart as they think they are. And Sam lets us know he was born in Iran. When he got to America, he spoke zero English. His power is listening. And I just kept thinking, wow, he had to listen to Britney for all of those years. What were those conversations like with Britney Spears? Ivar lets us know that he thinks Tom Sandoval will be murdered. And then Gabby walks in now. Gabby starts letting us know that the chapel was decorated gorgeously. And if you see Alan, you're safe. And now they think, okay, it's Dylan or Sandoval going home. But Gabby says Trishelle, really strong, faithful. And then this is when Sandoval walks in by himself. He's like, oh, dude. Like, he walks in like, oh, no, I can't believe I'm here, dude. And he said, and wait, were you guys like me? Even though we dislike what Sandoval represents, at this moment, I still thought he was going to be murdered. And I have to tell you, I was really happy he was there, just from a comedic standpoint.
No, yeah. No. He's definitely good comedy. Like, he's good TV to watch.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So Tom's like, total miracle, dude. I turned around and I saw some big trendy shoes that you would never wear. And I saw Alan. So he was like describing that Alan had trendy shoes. But these are little pieces of the conversation we need to pay attention to, because eventually it catches up Carolyn. So,
and that's what Sam caught on to.
Exactly.
Sam caught on to that. He's like, one of the people aren't going to know. And that actually made me a little mad. I was like, if Carolyn gets out this way, I am going to be livid on social media. Like, I was ready to post on social media when I was watching this episode.
Wow, you were gonna post angrily on social media, Bergie, if this happened?
Well, there are times where production, I feel like, can overstep and wreck the game, and I felt like that would have been a major overstep. But then we also saw Alan's outfit, and that is his typical like traitor outfit that he wears at night. But also, we didn't know if Carolyn actually got to see Alan or she never got to see Alan.
Exactly.
Said that.
But if I was a traitor, I would have, or for future iterations, I would always now mentally clock, like, I need to know what Alan's wearing every night.
Right.
You know, because that's going to be something.
Yeah, but we don't know if Carolyn ever got to see Alan the night before. He could have been wearing a different outfit, and that could have got her out of the game.
That's totally true. So this is where Sam, like you said, okay, whoever describes Alan coming in a different outfit will know they're the traitor. And then Carolyn comes in, and Tom is like, what happened in the church last night? Carolyn on a talking head says, the line is so hard, I need an alibi. So she kind of starts stumbling around what she was seeing, and she obviously knew the room because she had been in the room. And then Sierra asks, what was Alan wearing? And this is where I don't know if it was editing or what, but it seems like she really stumbles for a second. She's like, and she realizes that, like, oh my God. And then classic Tom Sandoval, he's like, dude, he was wearing like this black kilt, dude. It was awesome. And so he totally blows it. Brittany in a talking head says, Tom, you're like literally an idiot. And Gabby's like, okay, so that was on the line of pass or fail. And Carolyn's like, well, ask me more then. So she escapes this really quickly because of Tom Sandoval.
Yeah, no, that was giving me so much anxiety when she was like, I was like, oh my God, if this is how her game is over because she didn't know what Alan was wearing, that would have been insane.
Yeah, if she never got to see Alan and then that was put on her, that would be like production taking you out. Like that would upset me so much.
It also would, I was just trying to think being in her position, like that's such a simple question, but maybe when you're thinking about the overall mechanics of the game and all the ins and outs, you're going to miss something like that of like, oh shoot, I would have seen what he was wearing. And I was almost scared there for a second that Carolyn was going to be like, I'm a traitor. I don't know. I'm sorry. It's me. Yeah. So we also get down to like still who is it going to be? And there's a conversation, a line about Dylan I found fascinating that like Trishelle says Dylan or Dolores is going to go home. And Tom's like, no, Dylan is a rogue voter. Traitors love a rogue voter. And I thought that was dead on. Is that like, why kill Dylan? Because he's kind of been this voter that usually marches to the beat of his own drum. So why kill him?
No, yeah.
Yeah, you're not going to kill Dylan unless he's actually right.
Yeah.
But if I was a traitor, I wouldn't kill him because you want a little bit of suspicion on you because then you have an excuse of why you're not getting murdered.
I feel like killing Dylan would probably be putting targets more so on the traitors.
Yeah.
If they killed him.
Totally. So we flash back to the night of the actual killing. Dylan sees Alan coming and Cummings and his reveal. He feels good about it. Sorry, I'm having a stroke right now. And then Trishelle turns around and she sees the two traitors. They unveil their cloaks and she's like, crazy. And she says, can I ask why you chose me? And Carolyn's like, you were too faithful, girl. You never would have been banished. And Trishelle just says, that's unfortunate. And then Danielle says, the point of the game is to do what we do. It is done. And then we see Trishelle having to lay in an actual coffin. And in a talking head, she says she was shocked to see Carolyn. Carolyn is playing the best game. What did you think of that moment?
Well, I thought we thought it was really funny of like how much production went into that scene of everything. We were like, it was like a little bit too much. We were like, what is going on? And Trishelle getting carried out was like,
I was just like, crap. Is this a soap opera or what did we just enter into?
This is why I say this is turned into a full-blown comedy because we see four people having to carry. Obviously, Crishelle's probably not in this. But by the way, I would even love it if Trishelle truly was in that being carried out. But they really take this so seriously, which I do appreciate.
They for sure, like, they met their expectations to their budget because they had everything you could think of in that scene.
And we were actually on the couch laughing and giggling, looking at each other while this was playing out. But
exactly.
I do agree,
it's so funny.
It's so much. But I do agree, Trishelle, like, Carolyn is playing the best game.
Agreed. I think getting Trishelle out was like their resolution, like their meaning behind it was, she was too faithful. Like she was no use to being there.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing that would have tripped me up, I think, at this point, I would be so paranoid that I would be thinking, is Trishelle doing a double bluff where she's acting so faithful that we need to look into that more? And I think that at this point in the game, everybody's thinking about everything. But overall, you're right. The simplest answer is usually the right one. And she was too faithful. And so back in the breakfast, Gabby feels like she lost a friend. Dylan walks in. Tom says that Trishelle never put herself out there unless the vote was already fully decided. And Brittany fires back, that's a personal vendetta of yours, though, Tom, because she didn't like you. And Tom's like, no, it wasn't, dude. And Sierra says, you can say the same thing about yourself, Brittany. You don't put yourself out there. And Tom stands up for Brittany and says, no, she actually does put herself out more. And this is when Alan comes in. He breaks the photo of Trishelle. #thoughts and prayers. And then he starts setting up the game. And he's like, get rich or die trying, a 50 Cent lyric. And then he says something he says like, be a doll, do it quickly. And Tom is like, do it quickly. And Sam Ashgari goes, dude, the clue was a doll. The clue was a doll. Because Alan, Tom picks up the wrong part of the clue that Alan says, which I thought was also hysterical. Danielle, in a talking head, says, I feel in a pretty good spot that me and Carolyn can run this together. Carolyn, in a talking head, says, I'm trying to work with Danielle, but it's hard time trusting people one day at a time. So we're at this space where the traitors at this moment, even though they might not trust each other, are sitting pretty.
right?
Yeah, for the most part, this is like the prettiest we've seen it all season.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then we go out to some outdoor activities. The girls are playing badminton. Sierra and Dylan are having a conversation. Tom Sandoval is talking to a statue of a stag. He's like, "Stag, give me the anthers." In a talking head, Tom says, "Right now, dude, I'm all over the place. I can't believe I'm still here. At first, I was all over Dolores, but if she's the traitor, there's no way I would be here because Dolores, remember, put so much heat on Sandoval. So Sandoval is starting to get the mechanics of the game, and he's also dumb enough to be a loudmouth, so he can push more theories than the rest of these people, and people don't suspect Tom of being a traitor because he's not, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think there's a potential that he's going to get murdered if everyone kind of figures out he's a faithful, because that's something you don't want in the game. But we'll see.
Oh, that's a really great point that Tom potentially could get too smart.
Yeah. Like he might be doing it right now. And this was kind of, I wanted to be Tom Sandoval last year during my season, but it just didn't work out that way because I was too smart for my own good. I wanted to be Tom Sandoval though, where I got carried to the end. Who was it? It was, God dang it. It was Andy and Quentin that made it to the end of season 1. And that was my strategy. Be dumb. Don't be smart. And then at the very end, be smart.
Taylor, what would your strategy? Taylor, what would your strategy be?
I would say lay low until you have to start, making charges.
Mm-hmm.
But isn't it also about your overall vibe as a person?
Yeah, I definitely I would say you have to definitely be people centric and talk to people, but you can't lay too low where you're okay, for Brittany, she doesn't say a goddamn word at any round table or doesn't speak up or anything. But I think that when it's your chance, when you have the time to fight, then that's when you start figuring things out and being strategic. But you don't want to start being strategic too early in the game because then you're going to be seen as a threat.
Yeah. So Carolyn lets us know that, listen, I'm in this group with Danielle, but she's thrown my name out in the past. Now, if people talk to me about Danielle, I'm not going to lie for her because then that would be suspicious. And she's correct in this notion. Dylan says that they don't have too much to go off on. And this is when Sam's like, I'd like to introduce the idea of the coffin theory again because Jeremy and Nikki are now gone and Sierra's the only person that was in that coffin. So they think a traitor put themselves in that coffin still, which I was really bummed to go back to this coffin theory because it just it's once there's a piece of meat, everybody hops on it instead of thinking outside the box at all anymore. So Sierra's fate to me was sealed at this moment, halfway through this episode.
You could argue her fate was sealed when she actually stepped foot in the coffin. We talk about the final fire pit. You want no reasonable doubt. So she can make it all the way to the final fire pit, and you still have that slight doubt where you're going to get rid of Sierra before ending the game.
Gabby and Sierra are talking, and Sierra says Brittany and Danielle have such a strong alliance. All these game players just play games, which is totally true. And I would also argue at this point, I know I just really dislike Danielle at this point because anything she does, I'm just how dumb is it to hang out with another game player that you were on a show with?
Right.
People are automatically going to be suspicious of you because you have a past relationship. You really have to be cool with who you're. Bergie, that's what I'm saying. In terms of when you were in that castle, did you ever worry you were spending too much time with somebody? I'm spending too much time with Pilot Pete, or I'm spending too much time here. That might look suspicious.
I would say I was pretty good about moving about the castle. They obviously showed when I was with Pilot Pete a lot of the times, or the faithful were all together when we were closing doors or whatnot. But other than those moments, I was making sure to have conversations with everybody. And I was using the Love Island phrase, can I pull you for a chat? And I was having one-on-one chat, making sure I gave everybody equal time. And I felt that's what helped me be super strong as a faithful, not getting banished. Because then, if you're pulling people for one-on-one chats, they trust you, and then it kind of shows that you trust them until you go to the round table and then banish them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've never heard anybody.
I even pulled Dan for one-on-one chats, even with in the back of my head, this guy could be a traitor. But it's good to show, hey, I trust you in this moment, so you don't kill me.
Oh, here's a question. Are you ever able to pull somebody and go hey, this isn't about gameplay at all, but dude, I just wanted to talk about your season on Big Brother. I was a huge fan of it.
That's more of when cameras are off. shooting.
Okay.
Everybody wants to talk about it. When cameras are on it's all strategy. But when cameras are off, everyone's talking about, their time on their shows, how much they hated it, how much they loved it, how they got casted. Like, that's more off camera. But on camera, it's all like strategy.
Yeah. At the end of the Gabby Sierra conversation, Sierra's like, a bitch is lying and I'm going to catch her, which, by the way, now sounds to me like Sierra's copying Taylor, because I think Taylor said that at the beginning of this episode. So I'm arguing for Taylor next season on the Traitors at this point.
Traitors, #Traitors, or Taylor for Traitors season 4.
Yeah, that's a long hashtag, Bergie. Why don't we just hashtag Taylor for Traitors?
Hashtag Taylor Traitors 4.
Hashtag Taylor for Traitors.
So this is the point we meet Alan on the driveway for the game. We're going to split into 2 teams. 5 are going to go with Alan. 5 are going to stay in the castle. The 5 with Alan are going to have an opportunity to get a shield. Tom's already fighting for that shield. Danielle wants to be on the team that's going for the shield, so she knows who will be protected by the shield, but she wants Carolyn on the other team, so Carolyn doesn't know who gets the shield because she says she needs to protect Brittany. This is where I'm like, what the F? Are you kidding me? Already... You're not, even if this is subconsciously, already you are not thinking about your fellow traitor. You're thinking about Brittany.
Also, I still think Danielle wants to be on that team. Tell Carolyn, we need to murder this person. They murder the person with the shield. They come back. I was on your team. Like, I knew you had the shield. Why would I murder you? It has to be Carolyn. Like, she murdered you. Like, I think that's her strategy. No matter what she's saying in the talking head, I think that's her strategy, because she's a game player. She knows how to play games, and I think she might be even lying in her talking head, because that's got to be overall strategy.
Okay, see, this is what upsets me, you guys. What Bergie just said. Why lie in your talking head? Like, if you're gonna be a villain, be a villain. Like, do whatever you want in those scenes, but when you come in that confessional, you got to tell us the truth of, I don't care. I want her out. I want Brittany with me, and that's it. Like, why lie to the confessionals? Bergie and Taylor, why would you lie in a confessional?
Well, I feel like if you're in a confessional, like, you need to confess. That's where you tell the truth.
Yes. Like, you need. By the way, what do we do? Lie detector test. We hook them up to a lie detector test.
Too, when Carolyn was getting asked about, like, oh, well, what was going on with you, when they asked Carolyn, like, what was going on with you and Danielle, like, why would you lie about that? Like, that's just gonna put more suspicions on you. Like, that's why I think Carolyn is so good at her gameplay, because she knows when to, like, tell the truth, because she knows that, like, I'm not trying to leave, like, a mess and, like, be messy, and, like, where she can get caught where it's gonna make her look suspicious. Whereas Danielle, I feel like, is completely opposite of that, and she's just lying through her fucking teeth to get to the fucking end.
Carolyn's having to play 2 games. She's having to play a game trying to convince the faithful she's a faithful, and she's playing a second game that usually traitors don't have to play, is trying to like survive with another traitor that wants her out potentially and is lying to her. So she has the toughest job out of all these people, in my opinion. So Alan lets us know, I've inherited my aunt's doll collection, Aunt Mildred. I built a shack for all the dolls. They use this shack in every season, you guys, but they change up the game, and they have to find 4 dolls. They sing nursery rhymes backwards. Then the people in the shack need to call the castle, sing it back to them, and then they record it on the gramophone. They play it forward, and then they get the name, the nursery rhyme. $5,000 for every doll correct, and you get $20,000 entirely. I've talked to Bergie about this before, Taylor, but the money thing is so out of whack, and I'm really not believing that every competition goes down to the final seconds, because I feel like there's no way I would have been able to even begin to complete this in 30 minutes. What is your take on the financial aspect of this game?
Yeah, I would say for in terms of the timing, I definitely don't think like the clock matches exactly like what we see on TV, because we're singing nursery rhymes backwards. Do we know, like, I can barely say my ABCs backwards in like 5-6 minutes. So
and Tom Sandoval sings like a deaf man, so there's no way. It's so weird. It's so great. So, Bergie, I know you can't answer that question, but I just feel like the time is a little weird. I'm going to say I noticed that. I think a lot of us noticed that. I love it in terms of making the game exciting, but I think me and Bergie have talked about, what we'd love to see future iterations. Give them more time, or actually let them fail. Like, let them fail. We've talked about many different prize things. The prize of money then immediately goes to the traitors instead of anything for the faithfuls. We also know, Dorinda said this week on the Jeff Lewis interview, that obviously they get paid to be there, but every person gets a different amount. So Dorinda obviously got a different amount than Bergie got when he was there. So it really depends on your start. Sorry to bum you out, man. So they go into this room, and this is like high comedy because the room is completely creepy. There's like "Get Me Out" on the walls. There's dolls. We know one of the dolls leads to the shield. Tom grabs one of the dolls and it says, "You're going to die," which would be funny if that was Raquel Levis's voice from Vanderpump Rules.
Oh
Bergie doesn't get that. Bergie doesn't get that joke, but
but she's lighting up right now.
Yeah. So the dolls are spraying. Certain dolls spray them in the face with water, and Tom's like, "What the fuck, dude?" And everybody, it's just high comedy. We're already 5 minutes.
I think it was Ivor who goes, "Oh fuck," and I was like, "No way, you just said an F-bomb."
Yeah, dude. And it's so like 5 minutes are gone in this game already. So they're already 5 minutes off. 15 minutes left, still no win. So now we're halfway through the game, no win. And Alan Cummings like, there's no structure, no strategy. It's a mess. And then we see Tom just doing the performance of a lifetime. Now, you would say, if you don't know Tom Sandoval, you're like, this guy is acting his balls off right now. This is truly how Tom Sandoval is in real life. And I've hung out with this dude. This is exactly how he is. And this is why it doesn't comfort me to like tell you that, but like he is like this about everything. He always acts like he's on camera, and so like everything is like grabbing a doll and looking at it most intensely, like watching him go through the range of emotions and like shaking dolls and putting them up to his ear. I mean, come on, this is funny.
No, it's so comedy. Good. This reminds me of I think this reminded me of the Bird Challenge last year. And the Bird Challenge, I think everybody loved that. So this challenge needs to come back with new iterations every season, whether it's like, you got to repeat it back to the castle team or whatnot. I enjoy this challenge so much.
No, it was a cool challenge to watch, especially with Tom singing it backwards into the thing.
Oh, well, and it's an added joke too. And by the way, Tom was there, so I mean, that's like a producer miracle to get the guy that loves to sing, because Tom Sandoval has a band called the Tom Sandoval and the Most Extras. I've seen them a couple of times pre-Scandoval, and the thing is, you're like, at that time I kind of rooted for Tom. So like Tom, and this is not meant to be unkind, he's not the best singer, but he has a lot of passion. Like he's a lot of passion. He can be a little tone deaf. All of these things. So when I saw this, I was like, oh my God, he's going to so get into this. And Brittany in a talking head says, the musical passions of Sandoval. He is having a completely out of body experience. He's so focused on seizing this moment that he doesn't realize how ridiculous he looks, which to me, that's the thesis statement of Tom Sandoval. And Tom says in a talking head, I'm really excited about winning a shield in this mission, but I think I'm the only person that is musically inclined in this whole castle, which there's no way. That other people in that castle probably can sing better than Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Where's Johnny Bananas when you need him?
Yeah.
So Taylor, this is for you. Tom picks up the payphone. He thinks he's got the first one. Do your best imitation of Tom Sandoval singing into that phone.
He's like,
okay, Bergie, you do your best imitation of Tom. He sounds like Sloth from the movie The Goonies. He's like, and the people in the castle, Sam Ashgari, by the way, he's the first one who goes, he's a terrible singer, which is wild because once again, you're thinking about Britney Spears. This guy's been potentially listening to music for a while. Alan Cummings is totally cracking up behind Tom. There's a great shot of Tom on a payphone and Alan behind him just laughing. And Tom's like, dude, Ivar, hold this phone while I go look for more dolls. And Alan's like, Ivar, what are you doing? Be your own man. Get back in the shack. You don't have to do this. So they keep doing this. There's only 10 minutes left. And it is just, guys, it's just funny. Like this one is, yuck, yuck. And they finally get one. It's row, row, row your boat.
And I said that too. I literally
Yeah.
was like, row, row, row your boat.
Yeah, because it was like, Yeah, that's where it was. I was like, okay. Sierra in a talking head says Tom is literally working on his children's album while I try to find the shield. They get the next two right. The Muffin Man, Three Blind Mice. Gabby in the castle says Tom is getting a record deal right now. Sierra at this moment outside the cabin sees a little bear covered in leaves. She's got the shield. People see that she's got the shield. And Danielle sees it and says, I didn't want her to get the shield. Tom sings the final one. And it's like, he's like, nips. Nips. The last word is nips, he says, which it turns out to be Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And so it's correct. They got $20,000 in the prize pot in 30 minutes, allegedly. And so Sierra's got the shield. And so Sierra, they're driving back. Sierra thinks Brittany is possibility of up for banishment. Ivar tells Danielle in the other car that Sierra is number one on his list. And Faithfuls gave it to the Traitors this time. Rob asked, this is what I just said. I feel like the Faithfuls made the Traitors' job easy this episode. Like I said earlier, they just made it easy.
It was so easy. And I did like all the castle time. I felt like we got a lot of discussion time in this episode. I don't know why, but I don't know what the length of this episode was either, but I really...
It was 1 hour and 30 seconds.
Okay, yeah, but I felt like we got a lot more communication time throughout this episode, which was really nice. We normally don't get to see that. I don't know why it feels different.
Yeah, but Bergie, did you feel like you, and Taylor, you as well, did you feel like what did we get out of that conversation time? Because I feel like we were just on pretty much the same track with like mild suspicion here and there, but that one track was Sierra in the coffin. So what other moments in terms of that discussion time, which I love to see these people interact with each other, but what did we get from that extra time in your opinion?
Well, we got to see like the conversation coming up about like, Carolyn, why did you go after Danielle? Like we didn't get to see that at all. We got to see Sam Ashgari coming up with a good theory of like, the person that doesn't know what Alan was wearing, what was he wearing? And like, I liked all that time that we got to see like those side conversations being had of like suspicion kind of all over the place, but then also funneling it back down to one core idea of Sierra being in the coffin.
I feel like that was pretty much the whole conversation that was to be had. That was when they went back to the castle of people revisiting the coffin thing. But in my opinion, it's like, we've already put the nail in the coffin on that strategy. Like, why are we revisiting the conversation? Like, obviously, we like have seen that Sierra has vouched for herself. She was even crying at a round table, I believe, in like the very beginning of the season, being like, I am a faithful. Like, I don't even know. It's like, I don't know what else to tell you guys. Like, I am a faithful. Like, she did her vouch or whatever. So it's like, why are we revisiting?
Well,
I feel like it's wasting time.
Well, because like, it's different seeing Boss and Rob fight for his life each roundtable because he usually has a different place to put the suspicion on. It's kind of entertaining because Boss and Rob's done this so much. With Paige, we're like, with Sierra, we already know how Sierra argues her way out of this every time. And to me, it's never changed and it's not bad. Like I just always like, that's a faithful. It obviously felt different there. And there's also something to think about the psychology of group mind. And this is why it'll always kill me. Dylan, they're going to have to kill Dylan tonight because next week, he is the one now that will never go with the popular vote anymore after this week's episode. So they're going to have to kill him tonight.
Yeah, I agree. He's probably done.
Unless they do a recruit. And if they do that, it has to be Gabby or I don't, who's the other girl left? It's not going to be Brittany. It's not Gabby,
and then we have Dolores.
Dolores.
Would they recruit Dolores?
I don't think.
No, they said Dolores would be a bad. I think they even said that at the end. Dolores would be bad.
Yeah.
You could also recruit Dylan because
Dylan then they have this theory of these. There's the traitors are the females.
Yeah, but Dylan's the one that came up with that theory, isn't he?
Or Sam Ashgari. It's both.
Well, but I'm saying like Dylan said it at one point, so you could throw that on him of like, interesting, who keeps saying two females, Dylan and Sam? So you could put it on one of them, or maybe recruit Sam.
Yeah, but yeah, that could be a way to do it. I also thought, going back a little bit with Sierra grabbing the shield, I don't know what, like, did she have to show everybody? Because it kind of looked like she pulled it out of the bear and like showed everybody she got it. And I was hoping she would like hide it. Yeah, I was hoping she would kind of hide it more.
Well, I don't know, Bergie. In the rule book, are you? Does it say something about you don't have to tell people you have a shield?
Alan tells you whether you have to tell people right before the challenge.
Okay.
But maybe before the challenge, he was saying that it was okay for them to know.
Yeah. Well, they have to know. Like, Alan gets to decide that rule book. So, like, whoever is with you at that moment, she probably had to show. Because I didn't understand that either. I was hoping she would hide it, put it in her pocket. You know,
but she was like right in front of everybody.
That too. Yeah.
So it's like she literally ran probably around like 5 feet from me, and then like, what was she supposed to do? Open the bear and be like,
try.
So, we have the back at the castle conversations. Dylan actually does say to Dolores, I would like to look at Brittany because Derek brought her up. Ivar coming back into the castle going, Tom was so good at that game. And I was like, was he? But I guess it's just the passion. Carolyn and Sierra are talking. They're saying, I don't trust Brittany and Danielle, big brother strategy. They also bring up, Danielle's crying and shaking, which is like, that's the road to look at. Brittany is talking to Danielle saying Sierra's the most obvious. Tom is talking to Gabby and Tom says people are having trouble today, knowing what to do. Ivar is the one that says it has to be a girl or two.
Ivar is the one.
Ivar.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Sam just goes, it has to be Sierra unless she has a really good defense. Sierra walks in at this moment, realizes they're revisiting the coffin theory, which is frustrating. Then we are on our way to the round table. We get the beautiful song, Follow Me Down Into the Valley Night. Well, I want to hear Sandoval sing this song. Follow me down into the valley. So Dylan, they're all talking heads. Dylan says Brittany, but we need to look at all options. Carolyn says, I have no heat on me. And if I defend Danielle, I'm putting myself out there. Sierra says she will either cry or come at someone and she believes in God. And Alan says, those who will make it to the final will not reveal their true identities. Thou art a traitor. Off with your head. The floor is yours. Sierra immediately starts, you guys. And she says, the coffin theory is alive and well. No traitors are in the coffin. Nikki and Jeremy and I are all faithful. And Ivar says there's a lot of little issues that point to you, and we potentially believe it's you. And Tom, and this is the moment. Tom's like, okay, historically speaking, girls are better cheaters than guys. And even Danielle becomes like a real person at this moment. She's like, what the fuck just came out of your mouth? And Gabby's like, banish Tom. He's like, no, I meant to say traitors, dude. No, I know. Guys are most likely to cheat. I know that, dude. I know. It was such a funny moment.
It's Danielle being like, we know you know.
I know. Sierra's like, you know.
The best way this roundtable could have ended was everyone just banishing Tom for saying that. Could you imagine? That would be the perfect way for Tom.
That would be the perfect end. Like, we could put a final end to Scandival of just like, this is the final end of Scandival.
Put it in the coffin.
Yeah, exactly. And then even Sam Asghari goes, don't dig yourself any deeper, Tom. And Sam says, and so they still said we need to close the coffin theory. Brittany says, hey, there were only 2 votes for me last time, you, Sierra, and Rob. And Sierra says, well, you've skated by at the round table and haven't had much of a voice. You know, you would be a good traitor. Traitor would lay low since you had 2 outspoken traitors like Bob the Drag Queen and Boston Rob. And Brittany's like, yeah, they are worried. If you're a faithful, you're worried all the time. So you have to lay low as a faithful sometimes because you are constantly in fear for your life. And Sierra says, hey, listen, also, Jeremy said Danielle's name out of his mouth before he was murdered. And this is when Danielle jumps in and says, I was shocked. I don't know how that came about. I voted against Boston Rob twice. If you look who I took out, I was close to Ion. I was close to Derek. I have no reason I would kill those people. That's my case, which is a strong case, but it's a case built on lies. And we know she's a big fat liar. What did you think?
Right.
Well, I thought Sierra played a perfect defense tonight. Like, I wish she could have stayed in the game longer because she would have got Danielle and probably Brittany out.
Yeah.
And maybe, I don't know if she would have got Carolyn out, but I know she would have got Danielle out. But
I was honestly, I told him, I was like, hell yeah, Sierra. Way to go for Sierra to call out Danielle, because it's ballsy. But I felt like in this episode, we got a chance to see Sierra use her voice. And I felt like she had a really good defense, like putting the coffin shit in the back, like just trying to get that off of her chest. And then also like coming for Brittany too, and just being like, well, no, you always lay low. You don't say shit. Like, it's pretty much giving traitor behavior. And like, honestly, the way Sierra went about that roundtable, I probably would have done the same thing. I would have started the roundtable as well, to been like, okay, I want to clear this up because I'm honestly not a traitor. Like, I want to get this out the way, put my defense in, and like move past it. Like, I know that's exactly what Sierra was trying to do.
This is more for Taylor because you've seen Summer House. Is that with Sierra? I've studied Summer House, like, it's a college class. But the thing with Sierra is that we've seen her on Summer House slowly get her voice over the seasons. And I think Paige has helped with that, like get her more confident. And obviously we're seeing that with Wes. But even in Summer House this week, she was asked by the producer going, hey, did you think maybe there's a possibility that you could have, like, you were hoping that you might actually get back together with Wes? And she says, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to bury my...
put that out into
but like, why not just say no? And what I'm getting at is that I still think and I have this a lot as well, there is an underlying insecurity that Sierra has. So she's almost faking it until she makes it. So like, she's saying all the right things of a confident person, but I feel like she each year is finding her voice more and more. And so that's it. Like, she doesn't come off as nearly as confident as somebody, say, like a Boston Rob. So she's saying the right things, but I feel like there's just a little piece of Sierra that still doesn't, it's almost like she almost fully doesn't believe in herself yet.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
I completely agree with that. I feel like, she has this strong personality and she'll say whatever comes to mind, but I feel like internally, like, she doesn't, like, she'll say it like you said, but like, it's the matter of like having the confidence in saying it, but also just being flat right out and being like, I can take this. Like, I can take it. Because if it was me and the producer asked me, like, is there any chance you're going back with Wes? I literally was telling him, I was like, fuck no. Leave that man, like, kick him to the curb. Like, he is a fucking scrub.
Exactly. That's I hated that she said, I'm not going to do this, instead of just going, no, F Wes. Even if she didn't believe it, don't give him the satisfaction of hemming and hawing in Summer House.
Exactly. I was like, because when he watches that back, he's going to eat that shit up. And all you're doing is just making him be... Like, I feel like she would make them think that, like, oh, well, there could be a possibility. Like, she's probably not.
Exactly. Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't want to give Wes the opportunity to get back together with her when he's like horny one night and she like is like feeling bad about herself. So anyway, sorry, we're getting off track. We know you guys got to go see the Hulk movie. So Sierra says, so this is Sierra's final thing. No one is going to convince me, Bob or Rob, get the fuck out of here. I do my own shit. I'm not going to go with you anywhere. I'm going to tell you I'm a faithful, and you're going to say I should have believed her. But I would have also, if I was Sierra at this moment, I would have used another tactic and I would have full blown started sobbing. I would have started sobbing, or just something so emotionally that I'm like, no, you guys don't understand. Bergie, are you allowed to threaten people? Like, I'll kill you if you vote me out of here.
I don't think you can do that.
Okay.
Really,
I just wanted to check. Okay. Well, the time for talk is over. We've got to vote. So Dylan votes Sierra. Carolyn votes Sierra. Sam votes for Sierra. Ivar votes for Sierra, but he misspells Sierra's name. Not very good for British royalty.
He's done that twice. I've seen him do that twice.
Yes.
I'm like,
how do you not visually see?
If you're gonna vote someone out, spell my name correctly.
Put some respect on the spelling of my name.
Put some respect on Sierra's name.
And then Dolores says, Sierra, but my vote would not save you. Don't qualify it, Dolores. You don't like say my vote would. Anyways, Danielle votes for Sierra. Gabby votes for Sierra. Tom votes for Sierra. Sierra votes for, wait, who did Sierra?
Brittany,
for Brittany. Yeah, but Sierra votes for Brittany. Brittany votes for Sierra. And now we go to the circle of truth where Sierra obviously reveals she is a faithful. They're all bummed out. Sam is like, we messed up that one. And Alan's like, faithfuls, if any more innocent blood is spilled, we will need a mop. Shereé also had the shield, and so that shield goes along with her. I would love a new rule in the Traitors where if you are murdered, she's allowed to give the shield to somebody else without the Traitors knowing. Without the Traitors knowing.
Yeah.
I would actually like to see that too.
I really do think I want less shields and challenges. Like when they were giving out like 10, like with that stone challenge, or like in the first challenge where they had like you get off the raft, you're not protected anymore. I want to see less of that and like maybe 1 or 2 shields during a challenge. But the Traitors can't know, you can pass it along or whatnot. Make it a little bit more like immunity idol from Survivor-esque than just like, everyone knows you have a shield. Like it's more fun when the Traitors don't know.
Yeah.
Dylan says after this, the girls know they're in a hot seat. There's 2 female Traitors. So one of the 2 of us will be gone because he's talking to Ivar and Sam in the hidden room. Now, outside of that hidden room, Danielle and Carolyn are having a conversation as well. And Carolyn's like, girl, tell me who has the shield. And she's like, I'm not going to tell you who has the shield yet. Dylan says, I'm suspicious of Gabby, but maybe it's Danielle. She is shaky. It might be all an act. There is valid suspicion on Danielle, and I have to look at that. So I'm like, hell yes. They come out, or the girls see Dylan come out, and Danielle says, oh, that's sus that you were in this hidden room talking to those guys. And they're kind of staring at each other. We head to our final turret of the night, and Danielle says, I want Carolyn and I to split the money at the end. So they're talking about the shield, and Carolyn says, or Danielle says, I'm telling you the truth, Carolyn. You have to believe me. Alan comes in and says, I'm offering you a choice between being murdering or choosing a faithful or seducing someone, and they will join you this very night, but you forfeit the murder. And Danielle votes for seduction. Carolyn votes for murder. And Carolyn's like, I don't think we need any more people. You know, there's enough of us. We need to stay on the same page. And Danielle says, no, we need a girl traitor so we can call them out. And Carolyn's like, I agree with the female thing, but I would prefer Gabby over Brittany. And Danielle's like, why not Brittany? And Carolyn's like, you're not bringing your bestie in here. Anyone but Brittany. Anyone but Brittany. So they are in this moment. And I think Carolyn, like we said earlier, brilliant. And Danielle would definitely get Carolyn out if she brought Brittany in.
I also think Carolyn is in a perfect place to get Danielle out this next episode.
I was gonna say too, I want to see Carolyn get Danielle out.
Yeah, I think she's in a perfect place right now. Yeah, because like especially with Shereé bringing up Jeremy was throwing your name out before he got murdered. That is a perfect place to pick off where Shereé left off and throw it all on Danielle and get rid of her this next episode.
And plus, they're already having the numbers. Dylan is already suspected of Danielle. I'm pretty sure they could probably sway Sam.
Easily swing Ivar.
Uh-huh.
By the way, Ivar, I don't even know what Ivar's still doing there, but yeah, it's an easy kill.
I think the hardest person that would be to swing for Danielle would probably be Brittany, because Brittany, if she believes Danielle is a traitor, she knows that's the only reason she's here. So, you know, that puts her up for murder then. If Danielle gets banished, Brittany could get murdered because Carolyn's like, let's get rid of this other Big Brother player right at the end here.
Yeah. So next week on the Traitors, we just have small clips, and we see that Kate Chastain and Parvati are back in some fashion, probably surrounding the game. The challenge that day is obviously where they come in, so who knows how they'll be used. And all I see is that Danielle is wearing another crazy hat at the round table. She's wearing a big old hat again. But that's it. I mean, I thought this was a fantastic episode. I thought the gameplay was very weak, but it's still such an enjoyable episode. And I am wanting Carolyn to win, but I'm getting really scared that Tom's going to win. Where are you at, Taylor? Where are you at?
I would say I'm pretty confident at Carolyn taking the money home. I hope
so.
Yeah, like that. I developed like a really strong like fascination with her and her gameplay probably in like 3rd, 4th episode, like when she was just not putting up with Danielle's shit. And she was like, no, like, I'm not going to do it. Like she's doing it her way, but she's doing it so strategically. And I don't know, her like whatever her demeanor is, like she's very scatty.
You gotta watch her. You gotta watch her season of Survivor. I'm telling you, it is such a great season of Survivor. She obviously doesn't win it, but she gets down to the final 3, and it is so fun. I fell in love with her then. And Carolyn, once again, you're not listening, but my God, please let me interview you somewhere down the line. It will be a love fest. Bergie, who do you think is winning at this point?
Okay, if Carolyn doesn't win, I'm going to say I think Dylan is going to win just because every time we see him, it's always good. They don't ever show Dylan doing anything wrong. Like he's winning.
I think he's getting murdered. I think he's getting murdered.
You think he's getting murdered? I think he's
getting murdered.
Going to pull through. I think it's between Dylan and Carolyn. Those are my top 2 picks. It's just because everyone else, like Ivor's had a crappy edit. Sam Ashgari's had a crappy edit.
Can you imagine if Gabby won the money? She'd go.
Gabby could win. I could say Gabby's winning too. Gabby and Dylan at the end. I'm saying Gabby and Dylan at the end.
I could see her be like, I don't know how I got here, but like, I have the money now.
Give me the gold.
I have the money now. And
you got a good Gabby. That's good. You keep up with that. That is amazing. You guys, this was a fantastic way to spend my Saturday. I know you guys got to go see this Captain America movie. So hey, have fun with that, Taylor. Have fun with that Captain America movie. And once again, I want to remind everybody, Bergie is doing the Cruise of Deception. It sets sail in April. We have the link to the Cruise of Deception on the show notes. Also, I know most of the people listen to this on audio, but hello to anybody watching on YouTube, seeing this visually. We don't really promote the YouTube nearly as much as we should, but people seem to really like people love Bergie, and I think they're going to love you just as much, Taylor. So I really appreciate, we got to get Taylor to 95,000. That's what we got to do on Instagram. So go give her a follow. Bergie's got the cameos. We got tons of stuff. So anything else that you'd like to say before we leave here?
No, I think that's you hit it all on the head on the nail. So that was perfect.
Head on the nail. Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Taylor, you got to come back so we just talk Bravo next time.
Absolutely. And I don't know, do you watch The Valley?
Of course I do. What are you kidding me?
Oh my gosh, it's coming back. So I'm so
I know, in March. Yes, it's going to be great. We'll talk. Yeah.
Yes.
Have a great day, you guys.
All right. Have a good one.